Hey, dude! It's me! I'm the Randomfish! Excellent! Yeah, I'm not going to do that voice for the entire thing. I wanted to talk about Bill and Ted Face the Music. The latest trailer, a while ago now, has dropped on YouTube, and I honestly wanted to talk about it because, by God, there's a lot to talk about, and I love it. I love this whole thing. The fact that we have the return of Alex Winters and Keanu Reeves playing Bill and Ted, obviously. I honestly did not believe that their other halves were around. I thought maybe they had left or something, which is why I wasn't so worried about it. But at the beginning of this new trailer, we actually discover that they are still together. They are still with the princesses, which is very cool. I can't remember who exactly plays them, but you only see them for one shot in the entire trailer, and they're sat there talking to a marriage counsellor. And the trailer automatically made me laugh right off the bat when the counsellor says, when your wife suggested couples counselling, do you think this is what they had in mind? And both Bill and Ted are sat there with their wives on either side of them and go, well, yeah, we're a couple of couples, right? That is just so unbearably illogical, but I just love it. I love it so much. I want to briefly go over my history with Bill and Ted, just because I honestly feel like I need to explain that, because I was not around when Bill and Ted was first released. Obviously, a lot of people weren't. Like many people in the modern era who are introduced to Bill and Ted through DVD release, or in some cases when you're a little bit younger, or a little bit older, nowadays anyway, through VHS release. Now, I personally was first introduced to Bill and Ted through, it was a random showing of Bogus Journey on ITV2. I then spoke to my older brother about it, who then proceeded to say, watch this, and handed me Bogus Journey. I then watched Bogus Journey, absolutely loved it. I then found out about Excellent Adventure, and so managed to record that one day back on VHS tapes. That's right, kids, I used to use a VHS recorder. And I loved it. I absolutely love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I love Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. They're both fantastic films, and honestly, when this was first announced on Twitter, I went absolutely mad. I love the fact that people sort of, I love the fact that I got told about this. I love the fact that it turned up. I love the fact that it's happening at all. It's genius to me. The reason why I love it so much is because a lot of the time, especially when you're younger, especially when I was younger anyway, I am a massive rock, metal, country, folk. I'm very much a fan of very fluid type of music, if you will. A fluidity that comes through the power of precision, I guess. With something like, say, a rock band or anything like that, you have this, not this inbuilt rebellion with the genre, but you have this inbuilt unlikability from certain people automatically because of what it's called. And honestly, that's happened with a lot of various films over the years as well, and when it's associated with this genre. Bill and Ted are obviously an automatic response to this with the way that they are. There was a film written by Kiss, Detroit City, with four friends who end up going off trying to get Kiss tickets. There's a whole bunch of things like this that just happen over the course of time, and it's wonderful to watch, it's wonderful to behold. And to be absolutely honest, I love the idea of these characters being this sort of, again, not rebellious, but automatically unlikable by some people because of what they're related with, and because of what you instantly relate to them when you hear their name. Now, Bill and Ted Face the Music is possibly one of the best ideas, I think, possibly thrown in there, especially when it comes down to it. But at the same time, it was a sequel that I never thought I'd ever see happen. And a sequel that, I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure if, at the beginning anyway, if I wanted it to happen. Not because I'm against Bill and Ted being back on the screen, of course not. I love the idea of Bill and Ted being back on the screen. It's just that to me, their story kind of ended. I always believed that Bill and Ted's timeline took place in a dimension opposing to our own. It took place on an Earth that was not ours. As such, certain things were different. Bill and Ted and their band Wild Stallions bringing the planets into universal harmony, bringing the Earth into contact with alien forces, allowing them to communicate with common household pets, like George Carlin says in the first film, and being able to create a university, for example, where you can time travel and meet various musicians throughout time and discuss with them how they function. That is a cool idea. The problem is that at the end of Bogus Journey, we see them shoot themselves through time for a little bit, having some intense guitar training. They come back to that exact point in time, and they play their concert that ultimately, supposedly, launched their careers. And that last I saw, they were off to the moon. You know, after, discovering that air guitar can stop smog from coming up all over America, which I thought was a genius concept on any case. But, obviously, as Face the Music shows, that has not happened. And whatever happened at the end of Bogus Journey, I'm guessing was some kind of fantasy, maybe? Or perhaps that one concert happened and then never happened again? Which completely threw me 100%. And now we discover, of course, that Bill and Ted have to write a song that is going to unite the world. And to put an add-on to this, apparently if they don't, the world's going to end. I'll be honest, I didn't think you needed that. I would have just kind of wanted them to want to unite the world on their own merits, just because it's Bill and Ted. And they're sitting there like, we should unite the world. Why? Why not, dude? Awesome. Let's go. Excellent. Air guitar. All that good stuff. It would have been great. It would have been fantastic to see. But, that's not really what's going on. But of course, they have to find a way. They have to write a song that will unite the world. And they don't really know what that song is. They're kind of blanking on it. They're not able to write a good song for this. So, what do they suggest? They suggest going forward in time, meeting their future selves, and stealing it from their future selves. Excellent. That is such a Bill and Ted thing to do. I'm really impressed with this. I love this idea. In the same way that in Bogus Journey, you had these two android versions of them that were sent backwards through time to take them out and to take their place. You could almost have the moment of Bill and Ted being the quote-unquote, the bad guys, or the evil metal dickweeds, if you will, going forward in time to essentially commit a crime, to steal from their future selves something that they've already done. Which I think is a brilliant little... It's a lovely bit of paradoxal time travel, all wrapped up into one. I love it. And of course we see throughout the trailer various other things, like they run back into death again, they end up meeting alternate versions of their future selves, because we see one version where they've all got long hair and they're all hippies and all this sort of thing, and then they travel to another future, I'm guessing, where they end up with with themselves as, big bodybuilding dudes in a prison, with a bunch of them around saying, "Death! Death!" or something to that effect. Almost very, very, almost a Metallica type feel, which I love the idea of, actually, in a bizarre way. But then we get the best bit of the trailer, in my opinion. Or the two best bits, I should say. The first one being their daughters. They have daughters in this, and they are just like their dads in so many ways, and I love it. And I'll tell you why I love it. Because I want to make clear the difference between this film and, let's say, for example, the Ghostbusters remake back in 2016. I, at no point in time, thought that Ghostbusters back then was a bad idea. But this is doing something that this one isn't. In Bill and Ted 3, you not only have the female versions of these characters, but you have the other characters playing the main characters as well, and bouncing off of each other. Now, I honestly would love to see characters like these guys being done right. Also, these characters are so brilliantly done, because I swear to God, one of them is almost emulating Keanu Reeves perfectly with her voice, despite the fact that it's a female voice. Yes! I love this. If it was, for example, you know, like a female version of the Ghostbusters universe where you had the same characters under the same names, but it was like the female versions of them, that would have been friggin' hilarious to watch. It's the same thing with this. These characters are their own individual characters. They have their own characteristics, they have their own thing, their own story, everything else to the side. Brilliant. Love it. Genius. But you know what these girls do? They not only can emulate their other characters perfectly, their dads perfectly, which is great to me, but they go off on their own separate quest. They want to form their most extraordinary band. That's a line in the trailer. We're forming a most extraordinary band. And it's like, yes! Yes! This is perfect! Yes! Thank you so much! Oh my God, you have no idea. And it really is one of the funniest things I've ever come across. But the second thing that I want to point out, the reason why I love this so much, is frankly because I love the way that this film is attempting to maybe not undo the paradoxical nature of Bill and Ted, but trying very hard to put logic into Bill and Ted. Now again, I have a comparison here. For example, let's take another film that I happen to like out of context, and say Alice in Wonderland, the 2010 Tim Burton remake, versus this one. In the 2010 one, it is essentially attempting to apply rules to a world that does not have rules. And many people complained that this defied what the book was about. To which I point out, no, the source material itself is about unpredictability. It's about the randomness of the world. It is about a complete slice of madness in a world of normalcy. And in a world where everything is boring and all of that sort of thing, the most random thing that can happen to her at that point is a world of excitement and adventure. And in a world where she has a destiny that she hates, we have a destiny that she doesn't hate. She doesn't hate the fact that she has to fight. What she hates is the fact that she's doing it in a world where she honestly doesn't believe that it's real. In Bill and Ted, I'm going to spell this out. In Bill and Ted, in the very first film, the council sends Rufus back to 1988 to stop Bill and Ted from being separated by Ted's father sending him off to an Alaska military school. Oh, by the way, Ted's dad is alive! The actor, he's alive in this! I did not know this. I thought he was dead. And I'm sorry. I'm really sorry if that was a bad thing, and I apologise. I do not wish anybody dead, but by God, I didn't know. When I saw him in the trailer, I was like, oh my God, you're in this movie! Yes! Brilliant! Keep that in there! Keep this character, he's so funny. I love him, I love him, I love him. I'm surprised he doesn't bring Colonel Oates back or something. Maybe he does turn up in the film, I don't know. But anyway, in the original film, Rufus is sent back to prevent Bill and Ted from being split up by Ted's father, wanting to send him to a military school in Alaska. Rufus is sent back with the time machine to help the boys pass their final oral report on history by letting them go back in time and experience things and pick up the characters, bring up the historical figures, and bring them to modern day, if you will, San Dimas, and which point they then go for the oral report, they then put everybody back where they found them, everybody moves on, not a problem whatsoever. Okay? Now, in Bogus Journey, we have Bill and Ted going back in time. And this is where it gets very interesting to me, and this is where I like this kind of madness. It's very interesting to me, but kind of annoys me as well, because when you get to that second film, Bill and Ted's evil clones evil robot duplicates, go back in time to deal with Bill and Ted. But Bill and Ted, by the end of the film, not only pull off a whole bunch of time travel based shenanigans, but then also travel forwards through time, or travel forwards through time and then back in time again, to learn how to play guitar and then pull off their greatest rock and roll concert ever. Now, at the end of this film, I went, great. They're sticking to the very loose laws of time travel in this. Not a big problem. Not something I'm against. Everything else is fine. They're obviously doing this as like it's a MacGuffin. It's a Deus Ex Machina. It's fine because it's funny the way that they're doing it. In this film, however, that concert either no longer exists or it's a different concert. Wait a minute. So you're telling me that in the very first film, that very act of going back in time and stopping them from splitting up in the first place was good, but them using it to stop Denomulus from killing them is bad? Is that what you're telling me? Because in complete honesty, all I seem to think about at this point is, hang on a minute, why is it then that Rufus going back in time to help them, why was that part of the destiny but nothing else was? I.e., the going forward through time to learn how to play guitar and then coming back. How do we know that that wasn't a part of the destiny? But you know what? These questions are flipping tiny to me. They're a little bit annoying, yes, and sometimes I overly focus on them and then they end up getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but they always go back down small. And do you know why? Because of the very simple model that Bill and Ted taught us. And you know what? You guys watching the video right now, say it with me now. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes! If you haven't watched the trailer yet, please do. It's a load of fun. It's really brilliant. It's really funny. The actors in it are genius. This is a relatively short video, I know, but still fun as all hell. And honestly, guys, watch the film when it comes out. I don't know how I will be able to see it, but I'm going to try my damnedest to see it myself. And in complete honesty, that's all I really have to say. So, with that being said, Randomfish out, and excellent!